You know, for a lot of Canadian small business owners, the years of sleepless nights and supposed to pay off with a family legacy and have some profits at the end of the day. This may be one reason why support local programs is so important right now. Buy and support local businesses all over the place. With inflation, taxes, input costs all on the increase, small business owners, especially here in southern Alberta and across the country, are still working to remain viable and hopefully profitable. Now, one small business innovation is looking to be cashless, but maybe in a bit of a different way than you may imagine. Joining us today to talk about a different style of business and payment is John Porter of Barter Pay, and he joins us now from Hamilton, Ontario. John, welcome to Bridge City News.
Thank you so much for having me on, Hal. Really appreciate being here.
You bet. Now, before we get into your company's efforts to grow and provide for you and your family, I wanted to ask you about what you've seen in the business landscape and how it may have changed over the last 5 years here in Canada.
Yeah, so I mean, it seems to me that especially the last 3 years, for sure, businesses have really had to struggle through this pandemic, so to speak. It's not been easy for them. They've had to pivot in many ways. I think that going digital, especially, and being able to run transactions through e-commerce has been a huge thing. But it's been a real struggle. I mean, it's been really difficult. It's not easy on the best of days to launch and grow a small business, but definitely the last 3 years has proven to be quite difficult. But businesses are business owners, entrepreneurs are very innovative. They're resilient. They persevere, and they make it through. So I think that's the silver lining in all of this is that that's the type of people that we're dealing with, right? They push through these tough walls and they break through and make things happen. So yeah, we're excited for that.
You know, I've owned a couple of businesses myself, and I got to tell you, it's feast or famine. You know, we're in the black, and then all of a sudden you deep into the red. And it's like, oh, don't let the highs get too high and the lows too low. And it's kind of a roller coaster ride, isn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah, there's it's never a dull moment. And like you said, at one moment you're laughing and the next moment you're crying. So it's one night you're sleeping well, the next night you're hardly sleeping at all. So yeah, kudos to these small businesses across the country. And, they're the lifeblood and the backbone of the economy, right? So we have to really appreciate what they've been doing and how they've persevered.
John, why don't you describe how Barter Pay actually works?
Yeah, so Barter Pay, what we are really is a community impact business that helps thousands of businesses across the country get the things that they need without having to necessarily use money, right? They can just pay for those things using their own goods and services. And we know that bartering in of itself is the oldest form of commerce. It's how business was really invented. But for two businesses to enter into a fair trade, each side has to want what the other person has at the same time and at the same value. It's actually called the coincidence of wants, believe it or not. And so it's very difficult for these direct barters to line up. They do happen, but it's hard for them to line up. And so that's kind of one problem that we saw in the small business space. The other problem that we kind of looked at was this idea of spare capacity. And so for spare capacity is defined for service-based businesses as unsold time and space, and for product-based businesses that would be like idle inventory sitting on the shelves, right, or in the warehouse. So when we looked at those two problems, we thought, hey, maybe we could build a platform that solves this. And so we literally sold our farm back in 2013, built software, and now we've got this platform where a business can open an account with Barter Pay. They can offer up their goods or services, their spare capacity to the marketplace. In exchange, they earn barter credits, and one barter credit equals $1 Canadian for valuation purposes. And so now they offer up this spare capacity, they earn these barter credits. And the real special part, Hal, is that instead of having to use those barter credits with the people and the businesses that acquired their good or service, they can take that newly earned revenue stream that doesn't expire now, and they can go barter and trade with anybody in the entire ecosystem. So no longer is it this kind of one-to-one bartering conundrum. It's like this one-to-many ecosystem all working together to monetize all that spare capacity in real time and to get back things for those businesses that they need to boost their bottom line and conserve cash. So that's kind of how the Barter Pay system works. Yeah.
You know, it's interesting, yeah, because in the old days when it came to bartering, especially for services, I would, let's say, as a professional broadcast journalist, somebody would bring me on to, let's say, maybe MC a wedding or a special business function in exchange and say, okay, and I want you to help me build my fence. But that's the one-on-one. But now you say it's totally different. It goes more into a pool, right? So how did you really come up with the idea, and what kind of startup capital did you need to get rolling?
So back in, I didn't really come up with the idea. It's been going on in the U.S. market for probably over 50 years now, bartering systems. So I actually just brought it into Canada back in the late 90s. In 1997, I was heading to Waterloo University to be a civil engineer. and started saving up some money for school and worked a summer job that connected me to a fella who was in the barter business in Toronto. I actually ended up bringing a brand into Canada. And it was way too early to the marketplace. I mean, it was, the entrepreneur wasn't ready for it. Businesses weren't ready for it. They only, it was cash, check, Visa, MasterCard. Technology wasn't there. And so, we just kind of persevered through it and cold calling, knocking on doors, really just garnering support, one business at a time. And so we just built it, stayed in it long enough. So that was back, like I said, it was 27 years ago this fall that we actually launched the barter payment space. And it wasn't until 2018 that we became BarterPay in May of 2018.
So have governments given you a rough time, whether provincial or federal governments? They want their cut as well in the form of taxes.
Absolutely, yeah. They haven't given us a hard time. Actually, they've been, they've got, it's not really regulated, but at the end of the day, there's a definition of barter credits, in the Tax Act that say that they just need to be accounted for one. And for a business, it's really a non-issue because they're claiming the barter credits as revenue, but they're also claiming the barter credits as an expense. So it's kind of a net zero, anyways. But yeah, it's just a formality that kind of makes it legal, so to speak. Yeah.
Now, you've had franchises in Medicine Hat and Lethbridge here in southern Alberta. Those of us here in this part of the province, many of us are quite independent in our way of thinking, and we have a lot of small businesses. Why do you think your company and the way of doing business is so popular, not only here in Alberta, but where you are in Ontario and the rest of the country?
Well, I think it's popular because in and of itself, regardless of what's gone on the last 3 years in the world, I think in and of itself, it's a sound concept. I mean, no business wants to have idle inventory or downtime that's not being monetized. So the ability and the allure for businesses is that they can actually plug themselves into this platform and have a whole new marketing team, so to speak, marketing their business back out to this barter economy, right? So we also we pair every business that joins with a real life barter coach that helps manage their activity, helps promote their business out to the network, helps them to take those newly earned barter credits and plug them into areas where they would normally have written a check, which is a boost to their bottom line. So it gives them exposure to new markets. It conserves cash. It boosts profits. I mean, so there's so many reasons why businesses would want to be connected to a barter economy. And now that we've launched our Barter Pay It Forward Foundation, the charitable aspect of what we do, I think that's a big part of why businesses want to participate as well.
So, John, do you have any notable real-life examples of barter deals in your system that you can share with us?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, just in general, we've got a number of different sort of sectors that are sort of major sectors that barter with us, whether it's health and wellness, construction and trades, media and entertainment, travel and tourism, restaurants, business-related services. But yeah, so we've had like a restaurant in Hamilton, for example, was looking for a new sign for their restaurant, and they went out and got a few quotes. They all came in around $5,000, right? And normally before they met BarterPay, they would have just chosen a quote, wrote the check for $5,000, and that it kind of ends there. But instead, they made the smart choice to join BarterPay. We ended up selling off about $5,000 worth of their gift cards out to our network within the first couple of weeks. So they banked up $5,000 in barter credits, and then they used those barter credits with a sign company in Burlington to replace that cash expenditure. So essentially, instead of $5,000 cash leaving the bank to get their sign, it was only $5,000 worth of gift cards that represents new business incrementally coming back in their door at their food cost, which is like 30-40 cents on the dollar. So it's a huge cash savings. And again, those gift cards went out to people who had never been at that restaurant before either. So it's a marketing play as well. Another sort of bigger transaction that we've been working on actually is based in Alberta. There's a retailer there that we've been working with that has about 100 locations across Canada, and they've leveraged BarterPay to move a whole bunch of idle inventory that's brand new product, but just too much of it. And so we've sold about $500,000 with their inventory for them at the full regular retail rate. They banked those barter credits into their account, and then they're flipping those barter credits to replace an expense that's coming down the pipeline here, which is putting a new digital pricing system in their retail locations as a pilot program. So again, instead of having to cut a check for $500,000 out of the bank and then hope that works, they're just switching $500,000 worth of idle inventory for that system by leveraging the BarterPay ecosystem.
So do you think the impact to businesses' bottom line is what makes BarterPay so attractive for a lot of business owners?
Yeah, I think it's absolutely the cash savings that they can experience as a result of bartering, that boost to the bottom line, that exposure to new markets, being able to donate barter credits to charity. So being able to make a community impact without having to dip into cash flow. being able to incentivize their employees and offer employee not discounts, but employee incentives. Being able to appreciate their best customers without having to use cash, but leveraging the barter credits to get things like restaurant coupons or gift cards or golf certificates or whatever. They can pass those out. So there's lots of ways to leverage the barter economy for a small business to really create more impact in their community and to just boost their bottom line and make their business grow.
So let me ask you something. How are you making money? Or do you have deals set up with the banks? Maybe they, you can do a barter pay for exchange for the mortgage payment, or maybe when it comes to grocery stores with food and some of the gas retailers to pay for your gas. So I mean,
Yeah.
how are you working this to your advantage as well, for you and your family?
So we make, for sure. Yeah, we make money three different ways. There's a one-time activation fee. It's $99. Used to be $500. We kind of lowered it in March of 2020 when things went sideways there. So just to make it very affordable for small businesses, it's $99 to join. We charge a monthly fee after 6 months of $25, but we give, there's no contract or anything like that. We want to make sure that there's the right fit for these businesses joining and that there's value that they're receiving for paying for a fee, right? A marketing fee of $25 a month. The way we actually make money though, Hal, is purely based on a performance commission. So it's only paid when it's working. And how that works, it's a 12.5% commission. And the way it works is it's only paid when a business is utilizing their barter credits. So back to that restaurant example, when we help them sell the $5,000 worth of gift cards into the system, they bank those barter credits in their account. There was no commission paid at that point. We had to do the second half of our job, which arguably is the most important half, and help them use those barter credits to replace that sign expense. And at that point, we got our commission, 30 days later on the monthly statement. So it's almost like the more they pay us in commission, the more they've saved throughout the year in cash, right? So it's kind of, our interests are all aligned.
So John, how do you really see your business expanding into the future? Let's talk about that potential.
Yeah, well, the last 3 years has really made bartering a lot more mainstream. It's never been more Googled in the last 3 years, right? So we're pretty grateful and blessed and fortunate and honored really to have this opportunity to really take something that we've been working on for a quarter century and really scale it up across the country. Right now we're sitting just shy of 4,000 businesses in the platform, and we just sense that over the next few years, we're going to be exploding up to 100,000 and then on to 200,000, maybe 250,000 businesses across the country in all the different, small cities, big cities, really much weaving together the entire country with a barter pay presence. So I think, we're in the business that the bigger we get, the more attractive it is for more businesses to join because there's more nodes in the network, right? So we only see it getting better from here and bigger, which makes it better for all the participants. So we're pretty excited about that in a big way.
Rising cost of living has impacted so many of us, individuals and business owners, inflation just under 6%. John, can you talk about how these small business owners you're working with are still making a go of it despite the increased costs?
Yeah, well, I think it goes back to what I talked about before, just the perseverance. I mean, every business that starts up, every business owner starts with that dream, right? And I think that, there are a lot of businesses that do fail. That's never going to, that stat's never going to really change. But the ones that are, making it are in it because of the dream that they have to really make an impact and to create a lifestyle for themselves and to help, employ people, that sort of thing. And so I think that the perseverance is a big part of it, and just wanting to grow that business, having the freedom to do what they want to do. It's hard to, if you're a true blue entrepreneur, it's hard to take that out of somebody. So, but I think that being innovative and iterating their business and latching onto new things and trying new things, is not just doing it just because it's always been done that way, but trying new things is huge. And barter pay plays right into that. I think that businesses that choose to adopt new ways of doing business and innovation are the ones that are gonna make it in the long run.
You mentioned perseverance. Like I said before, I've owned a couple of businesses myself, and I got to tell you, perseverance was key. But I've never worked harder in my life than when I had my own business. Some people think, "Oh, you're self-employed; it's a piece of cake. It's really easy." Nothing could be further from the truth, right, John?
Oh, 100%. I mean, I joke and say, when you start a business, you get to choose which 18 hours a day you get to work. And that's the truth. It's really difficult. It's not easy. Anybody who's thinking about starting a small business, you got to go into it knowing that it's not easy. It's gonna be very, very difficult. You might see some odd successes out there that just kind of happen overnight, but really, even barter pay is going to be, an overnight success, 30 years in the making, right? So that's the mindset that everybody has to have going in. that you gotta be in it for the long game and not focus on the money. Focus on the solution. Focus on delivering a quality solution to people and helping create transformations. Not just getting followers or getting hype or whatever, right? It's about actually helping people transform the way they can actually, either live or do business. Yeah.
John Porter of Barter Pay, thanks so much for joining us today from Hamilton, Ontario.
Thank you, Hal. Really appreciate you having me on.